Hello, are you ready for today's topic? Today we'll see what passive voice is and how to use it. Let's start. First, what do you mean by voice? Well, voice is the form of a verb that indicates when a grammatical subject performs the action or is the receiver of the action. There are two types of voice, the active and the passive. The active voice is when the subject performs the action. For example, I did my homework. While the passive voice is when the subject receives the action. For example, my homework was done by me. Let's see when to use the passive voice. We have 5 situations where we can use this voice. The first one is to emphasize the review of the action instead of the doer, to keep the focus on the same subject through several sentences or paragraphs when we do not know who performed the action, when we don't wish to mention the doer of the action, and when we want to sound objective or avoid using the subject I. The passive voice is formed by using the auxiliary verb be followed by the past participle of the main verb. Do you remember the past participle of the verbs? Well, the past participle has 3 uses: perfect tenses, as an adjective, and passive voice. We have 2 types of verbs, regular and irregular. The regular ones we just add ed, like watched and used, while the irregular ones have different endings, such as en, n, and e or t. For example, been and taken. Now that you remember the past participle, let's start with a passive voice. Up to now, we have seen 3 different tenses. Let's start with the simple present. Remember that this tense is used to make a generalization, present a state of being, or indicate a habitual or repeated action. In the active voice, the formula is the base form or s or es form. For the passive voice, it is the verb be, it means am, is, or are, and then the past participle. Let's see some examples. My husband waters flowers. The flowers are watered by my husband. Paola plays football. Football is played by Paola. I write my thesis. My thesis is written by me. We also have seen the present continuous tense. Its function is to describe an ongoing activity or a temporary action. In the active voice, the verb be is present, am, is, or are, and the verb with ing ending. In the passive voice, we also use the verb be in present, followed by a being and then the past participle of a verb. Let's see some examples. The football coach is congratulating the team at the moment. The team is being congratulated by the coach. Are they opening packages now? Are the packages being opened by them? My mom is measuring the room. The room is being measured by my mom. And now we have the present perfect tense, which describes an action occurring in the past but relevant to the present or extending to the present. In the active voice, we use has or have with the past participle. And in the passive voice, we also use has or have followed by been and then the past participle. Let's see some examples. My students have cleaned the classroom. The classroom has been cleaned by my students. Thomas has developed many projects. Many projects have been developed by Thomas. The delivery man has delivered the packages. The packages have been delivered by the delivery man. At this time, we have already seen 2 past tenses. First, we have the simple past tense. We use this tense to indicate a general or habitual action occurring in the past or a specific time in the past. In the active voice, we use the base form of the verb with ed ending or the irregular form. With the passive voice, we use was or were and then the past participle. Let's see some examples. My boss corrected the mistakes of the project. The mistakes of the project were corrected by my boss. Lorelei didn't eat any oranges. No oranges were eaten by Lorelei. Liam didn't give the money. The money wasn't given by Liam. We also have the past continuous tense. We use it to indicate an ongoing action in the past or an action continuing through a specific past time. In the active voice, we use was or were with the verb in ing ending. With a passive voice, we use was or were, then being, and then the past participle. For example, my little brother was throwing the cowboy toy. The cowboy toy was being thrown by my little brother. Nobody was listening to the radio. The radio wasn't being listened to. What was she writing on the board? What was being written by her on the board? In the case of future time tenses, we have two possible structures, will and going to. In both of them, we use the future to indicate an action that is expected to take place at a future time. In an active voice, with will we begin with will and then the verb in its base form. With going to is the verb be in present and is or are, then going to, and at the end the verb in its base form. With a passive voice, we change the structure a little bit. With will, we begin again with will, but then is the verb be in its base form, and then the past participle of the verb. With going to, in its passive voice, we begin with the verb be in its present tense, and then add going to be, and finish with the verb in the past participle. Let's see some examples. My aunt will take the horses to the stable. The horses will be taken to the stable by my aunt. The detectives are going to investigate the crime. The crime is going to be investigated by the detectives. Thank you for watching.